Ooh, I don't like that figure 8 looking thing. That was an accident. All right, hello friends. Thank you for joining me today. This is Daily Art Adventure number 691. My name's Dan. You've missed 690 episodes. If this is your first time joining me, better late than never. Hey, and today I am doing a commission painting of an eagle. I mean, I probably didn't need to say that, did I? You could yeah, I'm teasing you, any newcomers that might be watching. You could tell that was an eagle. That's what I was going to say, you're saying. Yeah, it's an eagle if I ever saw it. Anyway, no, of course, there's nothing eagle-ish about that. In fact, that's part of the whole purpose. All right, commission piece. I have over here to my right several photographs stuck up on my bookshelf. It's being protected by newsprint paper. This is the photograph that my client sent me. From that, I did, and we discussed what kind of, we want a horizontal painting. So this is the a gouache sketch that I did based on this. This is a printout of this with a grid on it. You probably can't see the grid lines, but in Photoshop, I put real fine grid marks on here, and I'm going to use that to transfer this image. This is all pretty carefully calculated. This ratio is a 30 by 48 ratio, or 5 by 8, and my canvas is exactly a 30 by 48 inch canvas. Slightly unusual ratio. They do sell at Dick Blick's, Utrecht, Jerry's Autorama, and so on. They all do sell 30 by 48 inch canvases, but you have to order them online. I looked and I priced, and after a little bit of looking at pricing, decided, nah, I'll stretch my own. So I bought the stretcher bars and stretched the canvas and gessoed it myself. All right, besides the gouache sketch, the photograph, I have also another additional page with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 golden eagle heads on it in particular, because of course it's the head is the most important part of the anatomy that I want to get right. All right, so I'm ready to do a little bit more abstraction. Shout out, thank you to Jane, who sent me a YouTube link. That sounded like I said a YouTube blink. No, I'm trying to say a YouTube link. To a guy named Christian, oh boy, I forgot his name already. Hurt? Something like that. English portrait painter. Whoa. And oh good grief, what is his name now? I need to go to the computer to look it up and see if I'm telling you the right thing. That doesn't, no, it's not Hurt. Oh, forgive me, I'll look it up later. Jane, you help us out here if you're by any chance listening. Anyway, yeah, really spectacular portrait stuff. And what makes it spectacular, there's a reason I'm talking about this, besides thanking Jane for sending it. What makes his portrait work truly spectacular is not that he does a great job, which he does, of nailing the likenesses of his subject. I am full of envy. But what makes it stand out is all the other stuff. I'm just full of it right now because I just watched this video 30 minutes ago. It's all the other stuff that he does on his portraits. And at risk of misrepresenting him, it's all the abstract stuff that he includes in his beautiful portraits that truly set him apart. Oh, good grief. You could probably, if you want to look him up, you probably don't even need his last name. Just type in portrait, English portrait Christian. In fact, I'm going to do it right here. He's won a bunch of competitions. And I'm saying he's English, I'm assuming he's British. Okay, so I'm typing the words English portrait painter Christian. I'm going to be really irritated. Yep, I am really irritated. Christian Hook. There we go. Okay, Christian Hook. Not Hurt, Hook. All right. So if you want to see some fantastic paintings, and again, the reason I'm mentioning it is because watching his stuff was a great encouragement to me as I have been, as you all know here recently, as I have been expanding, experimenting, breaking out in my representational painting with all of this crazy abstract stuff. And I'm still very much developing. In fact, I found myself even last night when I was painting. Oh, let me tell you about last night. But first, let me finish the sentence I was saying. ADD. I found myself last night as I was painting out on the street, realizing that, okay, what's really happening is I start out my paintings with, hello, Karen. Hello, Ahmed. Good to have you friends on board. And evidently a number of other friends that are wishing to remain anonymous. It's your prerogative. So I'm discovering that to describe where I'm at in my journey now, I start out my representational paintings, as you see here, and again, this is especially for you newcomers. There's going to be, you understand? This eagle is going to be on this canvas. So I start out my paintings with a ridiculously, if I may, unrelated abstract. That is, it doesn't echo the image that's going to be on top of it at all, except in a counterpunctual, to borrow that term from music, an oppositional manner. It's the opposite. Like there'll be a brownish eagle up here. That's why I've got yellow. No, that's why I've got blue-purple marks up here. It can be blue sky over here. That's why I have the opposite. Orange, red, and some purple. So the very opposite in shape and opposite in color. This mark right here, roughly, but that's not why it's there. I just needed something going the other way. But that's the only mark that is even echoing slightly the eagle, the image that's going to come on top. So I was saying, I'm discovering that not only do I now begin my paintings with this crazy oppositional abstract, I reinforce it sort of at every stage throughout the painting process. I can usually with oil sticks, either watercolor sticks, which is what this is right here. These are watercolor sticks. Or later on when I'm in oil, I keep reinforcing those, the abstract. So these marks have absolutely nothing to do with the image, right? All right, and you regulars, I'm boring you to tears, so let me get off that. I will explain one more thing, and then I'll talk about last night. I have discovered that the color, so to speak, that shows up most through the overpainting is in fact these white marks. So this is a fairly new, in the last 6 months anyway, fairly new trick where I've been doing the abstract for maybe a year or more, hard to say. But adding the white on top of the abstract, or as a part of the abstract, that's a fairly recent development, because I've discovered that the white stuff actually ends up showing up the most, which is a good thing. I want it to show up in the final painting. How much? I don't know. That's not my call to make at this point. All right, I think that's good enough for the initial abstract. Now, let me talk about last night. Hello, Warren and Nellie. Good to see you guys. So I have my painting from last night. I was painting downtown, and I ended a broadcast at the end of the, I don't know what stage, and I promised to come back. Well, what I didn't realize was that a big storm was coming. In fact, I was sitting here painting, so you can see if some of the additions. The last thing I did last night was black pencil. And I was merrily, happily painting along, doing a lot of work down here with these figures and people, which I'm generally happy with. When I got up this morning, I realized, oh, either these are children, which is a possibility, or they're too small. And if they're children, I need to make their heads bigger. So I have to decide whether I'm going to make these people big. I just got a scale issue there. Anyway, I was merrily painting along, and a man walked up in a rather quiet voice and leaned in and said, "You realize a storm is coming, right?" And I picked up my phone and looked at the radar, and he did the same thing. I went, "Yikes, oh Mikesy." So I packed up real quickly. I was not real happy about having to interrupt my painting, but rushed home. Actually had planned to keep painting last night, because I promised I would do another episode, but I got all set up, and by then it was 10 o'clock, and about the third time I dropped something and found myself, do you ever get this way? I discovered myself to be in a state of hissy fit. Forgive me. When I found myself at the end of my rope, just like, bah, everything is bothering me. Then I said, okay, we're not going to paint here. So I packed up. All right, now I'm going to draw some lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wish I had a longer straight edge. I didn't bring one to my upstairs studio with me. I'm in my upstairs studio today. I'm a very blessed man. I have a very nice painting studio downstairs. And just because of my evolution as an artist, I spent the last 30 years of my life either as a full-time illustrator or a part-time illustrator, depending on the season. So I've always had an illustration studio in our home. And That's what this is. So what's the difference between an illustration studio and a painting studio? Well, in my case, illustration studio means I have things like drawing tables as opposed to easels, drawing tables and an easel, airbrush, watercolor, pen and ink, all my illustration mediums. So when my wife went out shopping for a house 12 years ago, she was looking for a house where I could have a downstairs studio, which I got. Very nice. You see me down there sometimes. And an upstairs illustration studio. So I'm talk about a blessed man. Most of you would like one studio. I have two. It's just crazy how life goes. But then our kids moved in with us. Our daughter, her husband, and 4 wonderful grandchildren. And at that point, very often there's too much noise going on downstairs for me to broadcast downstairs in my painting studio. So I've had to turn my illustration studio into a painting studio. Okay, boy, that was a long story that you don't care much about, but sorry about that. It's over now. So here I am upstairs in peace and quiet, and the kids can make all kinds of noise downstairs. All right, the trick that I'm doing right now, it's not much of a trick, but I'm drawing a grid, as you can see, I'm sure. Drawing a grid using a watercolor pencil, so that if the lines in the grid come to bother me late in the process, I can scrub them off with a stiff brush and water. It's unlikely that that'll happen, but it's possible. So it's watercolor pencil I have found is a good trick. And as you can see, I'm not using, I don't want graphite. Graphite adds a dirty gray to your canvas. I don't want dirty gray colors, generally speaking, in my oil painting. So I've used red, I've used bright colors instead of dirty graphite. So there's just a little tip, perhaps, for some of you. And I'm going to use my long-handled brushes now to sketch in the bare outline, right or wrong outline of the eagle. I'm going to try to cram quite a bit of color into this golden eagle. It's a golden eagle, but it has quite a bit of color in it. Let me show you again. My client sent me this photograph, but I've tweaked it quite a bit in Photoshop. So I think you can see purple colors here, blue, even cerulean or phthalo blue down here, and then more traditional gold in the middle. And I like that effect. I like that idea. So given that, I'm asking myself, what color should I use? Colors plural, should I use for a first outline? Number one, not black, not gray, not brown, definitely, okay, chroma. Often I want it complementary. Come on, come on, come on. My paper's flopping around so much up here because of the fan. All right, I think I'm going to do it in red. My red, once again, okay, again, for any newcomers that are here, yeah, Warren, green would have been a decent choice, indeed. Because complementary, right? So the red is definitely not complementary, maybe not quite as brave as green, but the green would be coincident with the green, with the blue sky, wouldn't it? So it wouldn't contrast to the, did I say that right? Green would not contrast very much to the blue sky, so that's why I decided not to go with green. I did think about it, but that would still be a decent option. As it is, the red does kind of coincide with the golden brown color of the eagle. So there you go. Which way are you going to go? I decided it's that is such a weird looking eagle head. I will have opportunity to fix that, folks. Outlining in red is sort of a tradition, a time-honored trick in painting. Really not very, what's the word, esoteric, not secret, not unknown at all. So I'm not being particularly brave. Sorry. Okay, it's the central air duct in the ceiling that's blowing my problems. Okay, and of course I'll be adjusting all of this drawing as much as I want as I proceed. Let's add some orange to this red. For yes, Warren, Cape Cod underpainting. Is that what you mean by New England Cape Cod? Yep, exactly. A very, very valid concept. Yep. For any newcomers, let me show you my paints just for a moment. This is my smallest kit. These are acrylics. They're liquid fluid, not in a tube, but in a bottle kind of acrylics. I'm looking around here to see if I have a jar of medium. I do not. Okay, but so these are 10, 15, maybe 20%. Did you get that? No, maybe it's more like fluid acrylics, not the thick stuff in a tube, but in a bottle. 10, 15, 20% paint, and then 70, 80, 90% acrylic medium. Not slow dry, that's all. We don't want slow dry. We do want this stuff to dry quickly. Anyway, so that's what I'm using here. They all, except white, of course. That white doesn't have medium in it. This is pure fluid white. It would be a complete waste of money and everything to, I mean, there's absolutely no reason to put, transparent medium in white paint. Anyway, I don't even want to go there. If you savvy in your gut, if you understand transparency, then you understand that transparent white is a complete oxymoron. Now, having said that, there is some acrylic, I don't remember, there is some acrylic paint company somewhere that has the screwballness or temerity, whatever else you want to call it, to actually sell a tube of transparent white. Now again, that cannot be for people who are English majors or even understand the English language in its most rudimentary forms, because the term transparent white is almost an oxymoron. There's no such thing. In other words, the bottle, forgive me, the bottle should be filled with sorry, I forgot to move you guys for a minute, and I've been outlining up here. The bottle should be filled with air. Transparent white, the bottle should have nothing but air in it, right? What they really mean, no doubt, what they really mean, and doggone it, did they need an English major on their staff to knock some knuckleheads together and say, you guys don't understand. Transparent and white are, that's an oxymoronic statement. Anyway, what they really mean was translucent white. Bless their little hearts. Maybe it was a company in China. That happens a lot with the crossing of languages. They're better at English than I am at Chinese, so we'll cut them some slack. But don't ever, ever buy a tube of transparent white paint. Either it's full of air, or they're just lying. And of course they are lying. It's not it's translucent white. Anyway, sorry about that. Glad I got that off my chest. Okay, so there more or less is the outline of the eagle. Oh, and I just realized that I only have one pencil here, so I'll use one pencil and one black watercolor stick. Boy, that could make some interesting stuff. Now let's look at eyes here. We better start being a little bit careful. About the anatomy of a golden eagle. By the way, William, if you happen to be watching, don't hesitate to pipe up and give us a howdy if you want. William is my client, my patron in this and for this commission painting. Thank you very much, William. I appreciate it. Hope to do a smashing good job for you. That's the ambition, anyway. And if by any chance, William, you are watching, I have a small but extremely faithful cadre community of viewers who watch me a ridiculous amount of time. Most of the people who've left the chat already are regulars. And as I say, don't you people have jobs? To which they say, don't you have a job? And the answer is, of course, yeah, this is it. This is my job. Anyway, William, that's just to let you know who's saying hi here. These are all regular friends. So you can see I'm making a number of editorial decisions as I draw all of this for the second time. I decide, oh no, see, like I moved the end of that tail down there quite a bit. I'm looking at my sketch, my gouache sketch over here. I'm looking at the photograph and looking at a page that has a whole collection up. Right at the moment, I'm just gonna represent that feathered wing with just a bunch of abstract marks. Same thing here. Thank you. Hello, Jake. Good to hear from you in a while. Jake says, the more I watch you paint, the more, oh, glad to hear it. That's great. Thank you very much. And Ahmed says, do you mind if I ask what kind of Kelvin bulb do you use for my studio? Not at all. Very good question. Very good question. And Warren says, under New England style. So not Cape Cod, right? I was accusing you of referring to Cape Cod. I don't know what New England underpainting is. So you've caught me in a good teaching moment. I would like to know what that is. What is the underschool? What is the New England underpainting if it's not Cape Cod? All right. Oh, Kelvin. Yes. Well, let me unscrew this bulb here and see if it tells us. It's an LED bulb. It's not an art product. You follow me? It's just a store-bought, a hardware store-bought. But I do pay attention to Kelvin. Ouch! Trying to see if it has Kelvin listed. It does not. Rats. It probably did on the packaging. But it's a daylight bulb. That I know it's a daylight bulb, so that usually means Kelvin. What is it? 5500? Forgive me. I should know what that is, but alas, I don't. No, the canvas is 30 by 48, so unusual shape there, Uncle 60. Uncle 60 says, we don't need no stinking jobs. Good for you. All of my viewers are independently wealthy. That's good for them. I'll be that someday myself. Uh-oh. I am just about out of phthalo blue paint. That's not a good. All right, here's a question. Here is a question. I think I know the answer to it. It's rather, I didn't think about this ahead of time, or I would have done something different. Moses, I would have gone with your green. I think I'm going to do Cape Cod under the blue sky, which means yellow, orange, red, pink, actually. Pink, yellow, orange. My general rule of thumb is if I have a lot of sky, if I'm doing a landscape, if I have a lot of sky in the painting, then I do complementary under the sky. And I just called it a minute ago, I called it Cape Cod. So yellow, orange, pink. Yellow under white clouds, pink under blue sky, orange in between. Because that way I'll get the more exciting blue when in the final stages. So if I had thought, which I should have, should have thought through that early on, because now I've outlined the bird in red, and I'm going to do red, so then the outline will be very lost. But not to worry, I'll be doing more outline, so no big deal. But I do think I'm going to go with, as I said, essentially Cape Cod, red, orange, yellow under the blue sky. So let's start with some orange and yellow. Oh yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. That's why we'll make it work. I used black watercolor stick to do some of the outline of the eagle, and sure enough, when I added water to that, it really came up gray. So that's not a particularly happy combination, but we will fix it here shortly by doing, first of all, white, opaque white on top of that gray. This, as all you regulars know, this is quite a simple image compared to my normal cityscapes, right? So because it is fairly simple, I'm feeling a lot of freedom to really mess around with underpainting layers and abstraction and so on. Okay, now let's see if I can, oh yeah, that's nice, that's nice. Remember, with acrylics, you do have, usually I say about 45 seconds to lift something off. It's not like oil, where you have an hour to move it around, but you do have a little bit of time. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm painting with a rag, lifting out in particular some of that. All right, let's do some white, some exciting white. So anything that's light, don't confuse that with the word white. Anything that's light in my subject matter, I might want to think about hitting with opaque white. And of course, all the color that's on, almost all the color that's on the canvas is still wet, right? There we go. So this white, opaque white that I'm putting down, of course, will pick up some of the wet color underneath it, and then I'll have a sort of an alla prima feel, look and feel to the painting. That is where wet paint applied to wet paint picks up what's underneath. Some of you people who are very uptight in your painting and you're struggling to get loose, you would actually do well to incorporate some alla prima. That means all at once. Don't wait for underlayers to dry. That's what your control freak default personality likes. You like to wait for it to dry because then it doesn't get messy. Whereas in fact, and I know this because I was one of you once. I know how it feels. You want to have the feeling that you're in control. Therefore, you wait till the understuff dries. But in fact, you are trying to get looser, right? I'll mention again the video that I just watched that Jane sent to me of Christian Hook, English, young, disgustingly young, disgustingly young artist in England who's won a bunch of competitions. Really was taken with his stuff, and as I said earlier, it encourages me in my current adventures where I'm trying to work more abstraction into my representational paintings. Now, once again, right here in this area, I can hear perhaps, I have, I have this kind of person in my mind watching me paint often, whether this person is actually watching or not. But she, actually more of a she than a he, is sort of like a conglomerate of all the hundreds or thousands of art students that I've had over the decades. And I can hear them say things like right here, for instance. I was doing Cape Cod sky, which means complementary. So I put down red, then just a few minutes later, I come back with white and put white on top of the red, and the, forgive me, the squeaky voiced student in my brain says, "Why'd you do that?" Sorry, this is not complimentary. It's not any of you. It's a fictitious person, and maybe I should just kick this person out of my head. But she says, "Why'd you do that? If you were going to paint it white again, why'd you paint it red in the first place?" Okay, so I'm sorry, that is horrible. I'll try to refrain from using that voice anymore today. Well, the reason is because to paint it red, as you can see, and then to paint it white is not the same as not painting it white. The same question comes up when I, especially in the oil phase, when I put paint on and then I lift paint off. That same voice, that same person says, "Why'd you do that?" "Oh no, I told you I wouldn't use that voice again today." Oh boy. Okay, so that voice says, "Mr. Nelson, why did you do that? If you were just going to wipe it off, why did you put it on in the first place?" All right, there. Definitely a male student voice there. All right, and the answer, as you all know, right, is because to put it on and then wipe it off is by no means the same result, the same effect, the same look as to not put it on in the first place. All right, so forgive me, that's like I'm insulting all of your intelligences by even addressing such a question. But like I said, that squeaky voice or that dignified male voice, that's just so as to avoid using the horrible squeaky voice again, because I promised I wouldn't, and then I broke my promise. Anyway, because that voice is in the back of my head asking that question. So whether anybody watching this is ever asking those questions, that is a good question. Right, and there actually is some lightness, variation of tone in these feathers. And again, William, if you're by any chance watching, as I understand it, William captured this image of an eagle with a screenshot, as he was watching a video of some kind, and this eagle flew across the screen, and he said, oh wait, that's perfect. So he actually backed it up, paused it, and did a screenshot. And it is a very fetching image of a golden eagle, largely because it in fact has this wide variety of colors in it. Aha. So this part, nape of the neck, if you will, needs to be wider. All right, I think I'm done with that layer of opaque white. And I'm a little bit stuck, as always, because whereas, at least at this part of my journey, whereas I can put white into wet, I cannot put color onto wet white. I can't now come back because it will pick up the white and in my opinion will create a sickly pastel opaque, not a pleasant. Now, it may be that in the next months or years I will mature to the next level in my journey and I will realize, oh man, I was missing such an opportunity. I can do that, I just have to do thus and so. And it may be that will happen. And if it happens, it'll be an experiment one day. Not today. I'm not at that point in my journey. I'm at the point right now where I know that if I put color on top of this wet stuff, it will be not an attractive, in my opinion, it will not be an attractive feel. So I'm not going to do it. So what I can do at this moment, my options are somewhat limited, because I have to wait for that white to dry. So I've got one thing in mind at least, and that is this might be a good opportunity for some more. By the way, in all my classes, charcoal, when I'm doing drawing, I always tell the students to break it in half. Because if you don't, it's going to break anyway. So that's what just happened right there. All right, I'm doing green right now, as you can see, because it's the opposite of what's there. And again, this is for you newcomers. Why do I do such wild, bold strokes? How do I know that they're going to look good? Well, number one, I do know that they're going to look good. I know that they're going to look good because of the manner, because of the movement, the physical arm, hand, shoulder movement that I employ to put the marks there. Let me do another one. Good, beautiful movements create beautiful marks. Conversely, you cannot make beautiful marks with ugly, or as I like to say, ugly, which means really ugly. You cannot make beautiful marks with ugly movements. And what are ugly movements? Well, again, at the risk of being offensive, ugly movements are small, fussy, weak, hesitant, uncertain, unclear, fastidious, hyper-controlled. So I won't make any movements, but same thing in my hand. What makes, forgive me, I know I'm going to stand in, and I'm going to position my body in a patently offensive position. Just to make the point. Here's bad movements. Here's another one. Okay, crap, ugly movements, funny maybe, but ugly. So how do I know this movement's going to be good? Simply because of the manner in which it was executed. That's how I know it's going to be good. Now, in the final painting, how many of those marks will be visible? Who cares? Not my job right now. My job, when I'm making them, is just to make a good mark. That's all. Later on, I will worry about whether this or that mark remains in the final painting. All right, now the white has been drying for a couple minutes now. It's time now to do this other trick. So of course, it's getting warm in here. As you know, the acrylics dry quickly, but where they're piled up rather thick, they dry slowly. So I'm going to run some dry brushes through the thick bits. Now, same principle. How do I know? Because I'm dragging wet white paint. Isn't that ruining the painting? The answer is no. How do I know this is going to be a good mark? Again, it's because of my movement. Because my movements are, forgive me, because my movements are beautiful. That's saying way too much. I mean, I'm not exactly doing ballet here. You know, I mean, the New York Ballet is not going to come calling and say, "Oh, Dan, your your movements are so beautiful. Would you please come and do it on stage?" That's not going to happen. But as opposed to, okay, so let me give you a real concrete, realistic, real history example. This actually happened, and probably happened more than once. So I'm giving the exact same lecture to a live group of students, and we're talking about wiping dry brushes through wet acrylics. And I say, you have to do it quickly and with energy and with strength. And then I demonstrate like I just did. Boom. I look up 5 minutes later, and bless her little heart, it doesn't have to be a woman, but you know, most of the time it is, because that's who she's going. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Lady, pay attention. Boom! Boom! It's not, okay? And I'm saying that because I don't want any of you making that same mistake. Paint like a man. If you're a woman, paint like a man. That's probably horrible sexist. It's not, but there is a degree of truth in that statement. I'm going to let it stand, offended though you may be. Because first of all, every woman can do it. It's not truly sexist because y'all can do it. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here because tragically, I'm running out of paints here. All right, let me read your comments here. Oh, it is Cape Cod. Okay, good. Warren, I'm with you. Hey, Nancy Smitherman, good to hear from you. Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad I got that clear. It's liquid paint, fluid paint, not out of the tube. Paula, yeah, maybe. What's Fragossini XD or laughing face? I like that name. Fragossini laughter, it looks like to me. Marco Petroni, paint like a man. All right, I promise. 5-minute break here, folks. 5-minute break. I'm just going to pause for just a few minutes, and I'll be right back with more paint, okay? Don't go away. I'll be right back. Way less than 5 minutes. I probably should have left the camera rolling. And no, I did not go to the bathroom. That's what half of you are thinking. You're thinking, oh yeah, he says he needs paint. He just needs a potty break. Nope. No, I was telling the truth. It was not a potty break. It was just run downstairs, grab some other paints, and come back. I'll tell you when I need to take a potty break. No, I don't know if I will or not. I do still have some decorum left in me. My mama tried really hard with all of us kids to train us up respectable like. So the result is we all know what's respectable. Whether we choose to do it or not is another question. But I do indeed know. I do know decorum. All right, and I have here some brand new, replenished, finished. Okay, since I'm spending so much time organizing paints, let me move you here, and I'm going to move my camera. That helps me not make the mistake of so much of forgetting to zoom back up. So again, this is the way I do it. This is a food container. This is called Lustroware, L-U-S-T-R-O, Lustroware. And I just stood in the store, and it's not made necessarily so that the little ones fit neatly in the big ones. I just kept experimenting till I found something that worked. So this is not art supply stuff. This is food leftover supplies. Okay, in this particular kit, I have 9 different colors, including white. And again, white does not have any medium in it. All the others do. All right, so that's typically what I paint from right there when I'm out on the street. Now, when I paint big, I have way bigger kits than this. This is my small kit. All right, let's back you up now. And I do such a high angle, I've discovered that forgive me, hang on, that that you get less glare if I lift. Now you get more glare off my bald head. See? Wah, wah, wah. Do you know that half the middle-aged men, I'll compliment myself and call myself middle-aged here. Do you know that half the middle-aged men in the world who are walking around balding in back, they don't really know how bald they are in back? It comes as quite a shock to us. It really does. I remember, I remember the first time it happened to me. This is, probably 12 years ago. 10 at least. We were driving across, as a family, across a couple states, and we had a tire blowout. So I can't remember. We got towed or something to a tire repair place, auto parts kind of store, and they had a security. Of course, they had security cameras like everybody else, but they had a TV monitor up near the ceiling where you could see what was on their security camera. And I looked up. There's this guy with a bald spot in the middle of his top of his head. It was quite the rude awakening. Okay, ladies, shut up. You should not be laughing. Hello, Ayano. I'm glad to hear that. The first time you painted strongly, you felt so freed. Woohoo! Good job. All right, so what next? Oh, you know what I didn't get? Phooey. I didn't even think about getting a jar of acrylic medium. I usually have one up here, but I don't. All right, now I'll just have to try to make do without it. I'm looking, I'm thinking. Before I start putting, browns and goldens into this eagle, I'm reticent to rush into that realistic direction too quickly, right? Let me show you one of the photographs again that I'm working from. Probably the one that I'm working, as far as coloration, the one I'm working from the most is this one right here. And it has some beautiful fuchsia purple hues here, down here. Now this is because I cranked in Photoshop. I cranked the saturation. Now, it's funny, every time I say that now, whoops, I hear the voice. Oh, good grief, I just tipped over my water. Every time I say that now, I hear the voice of Mark Carder, C-A-R-D-E-R, very famous big dog painter down in Texas. Forgive me, I have to go run down the hall, get a towel. And he says, don't crank the saturation. Well, that's the difference between me and him. He's good, he's famous, he's rich. No, I didn't go anywhere yet today. I've been here all day. All right, forgive me here, gang. Ran down the hall to get a towel. Good grief. Fortunately, the water was not very dirty, and what was in that bucket was almost the exact same color as the gray carpet. So my wife and I were up here in my office not too many weeks ago shampooing the carpet, and boy did it need it. You can imagine, I mean, if you're building a studio in your home, you do not put carpet on the floor, right? But we didn't build this room, we just bought the house the way it was. So you can imagine the carpet in my studio has seen better days. All right, where was I? Anyway, I'm reluctant to go too realistic, and I'm going to do something quite different here. I'm going to do some opaque color. That is quite different, quite unusual for me. Again, playing around with this shades of purple. I'm going to add some, and again, unusual for me to do opaque, but I'm just experimenting, of course. I'll be coming back here in a few minutes and doing transparent glazes, of course, on top of this. Ooh, now I know what would be nice. Oh, my little water bottle's just about out of, this little spray bottle's just about out of water. What would be nice is some dripping. So that's what I've just done there. I like drips. I think the reason I like drips is everybody, every human being at a very deep gut level intuitively understands drips. They're not a mystery. They're like, oh yeah, gravity goes that way. It's clear the painting was done, you know, this side up. Whew, calm down, Dan. I don't know if that's why I like drips or not, but I'm going to do the same trick, so to speak, down here on this other wing, except instead of purple, I'm actually going to do white. So opaque is the same trick. By same trick, I mean I'm going to do more opaque color. And again, as is often the case, when I say opaque, because I'm using opaque paint, but I'm applying it so thinly that the effect is actually translucent. So don't be confused. Everything I just put on, all of this is actually translucent, but I call it opaque. Okay, yeah, up here on the bird. I mean on the, not on the bird, on the head. There we go. Yeah. I'm thinking. Do you want to see me thinking? That's wet. It'll be dry pretty quickly. I like the drips. Really like the drips. And like the color too. I need to run downstairs. My mistake. I try to have this upstairs studio fully equipped, but I've failed at that today. I need a black pencil, black, white, and brown pencils, and medium. All right. Tell you what, here's what I'm going to do this time. This is kind of silly, I know. Oh, good questions. Drippings. It's a turkey. Yeah. Thinker 888. Thank you. Glad you enjoy it. My wife just stepped in green paint. Oh, I spilled red last week. Your wife's gonna be brother. Exactly. I did spill red last week. You guys, oh, Uncle spilled red last week. That's right. All right, I turned up my music so you can listen to my lovely music. I'm going to run downstairs. I need water, 3 pencils, and medium. So I'll be right back, okay? No, I'm not going to the bathroom this time either. I promise. I'll keep wearing my microphone, so if I go, you'll hear me. So I'm going to start with getting clean water. Hang on. We have a utility sink in the laundry room. Can you guys hear this? Oh, that sounds suspiciously like something else. But no, it was water. Jeez. Okay, downstairs now to get some pencils. Black, white, and brown. Yeah, good. Good, good, good. And now some medium. Yeah, GAC 100, my favorite medium. All right, I'm coming back. All right. There. I should have put a little sign up that said intermezzo. Fancy word for intermission, right? All right. Did you enjoy my music? Definitely just water. It was. I'm not going to argue with you guys. Let alone make any joke about me being 65 years old. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to make any reference to it. Not even get your mind going in that direction. Too late. All right. All right, so I now have 2 black pencils and 1 brown one. Thanks, Jake. All right, so I'm going to draw this bird again. Again, starting to pay more attention to by the way, do you notice the switch in grip here? I mean, this is the old death control grip, right? There is a place. There's a place and a time for such things. One of the things you can ask is it driving you crazy? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So I do it for a minute and escape it as quickly as I can. All right, and again, if there's any new people watching, or if by any chance, William, you're watching, you'll watch this later, William, so I'll keep talking to you, even if you miss it now. Hang on, I'm going to pick up a small brush and do a little bit of a correction here because I'm afraid I will forget it later. The forehead doesn't come up quite that high. But it comes up higher than that. Isn't that funny? I want to get the curve just right. Again, the death control grip. All right, so I was starting to say to William or anybody else who's watching, perhaps a first-timer or nearly first-timer, throughout the entire painting process, well, I haven't done the feet at all yet. Oh, yeah, oh good, that'll be fun. Throughout the entire painting, or what I'm doing right now, drawing process, similitude, realism, accuracy is a concern, right? Of course, I want my eagle to be quite accurate, as accurate as I can get. But accurate does not equal detail. Okay, that's a hard lesson for some of you to learn. Well, I can turn my music down a little bit now, can I? Lovely though it is. Many immature artists do think that accuracy equals detail. Not the case. So accurate. Detail is to taste, like a chef cooks, like a good cook cooks. A good cook doesn't cook by the recipe only. Good cook cooks by taste. So how much, oregano do you put in this, whatever it is? Well, only your taste buds tell you. So same thing with painting. You paint by eyeball. You don't paint by recipe. So how much detail? Can't say. That's a chef cook analogy kind of question. Won't know till I see it. Won't know till I do it. But at every stroke, in this case, every stroke of the pencil, and again, every stroke of the pencil, it's more important that the mark be entertaining. I've never used that word before. Visually stimulating, entertaining. It's important that it reflect, in this case, to some degree, accurate golden eagleness, right? Of course I want it to look, so to speak, exactly, quote unquote, like a golden eagle. But it's more important that the marks themselves be, as I just used the word for the first time ever, entertaining. Visually entertaining, visually stimulating, fascinating. Interesting is the word I usually use. Okay, those marks there at the end, and those are pure abstract, nothing to do with similitude. That was not an attempt to be realistic, of course. Okay, now I can... And if I may, just for a moment, I better move the camera so I don't forget to move you back. Let me just let you zoom in on part of this painting that is approaching the end of the acrylic phase. Look at this. Now, if you don't find that entertaining for your eyeballs, please trade them in for somebody else's. Now, the people that don't find this are people who have issues, who are stuck, really truly stuck in realism. If it ain't real, it ain't good. And that's all right. There's a place on the planet for those people, but thank God don't live in that space anymore. There was a season in my life, maybe, I don't know, I was 14 maybe, where I felt that way. I now realize that, so this is purely abstract, and it's really fun. I don't know if I have to tell you that or not, but that is really fun, entertaining marks there. So, similitude or realism, yes, but interesting, fascinating, stimulating, entertaining. First time I've ever used that word again. Entertaining marks, even more important than similitude. Okay? And again, I get into this all the time, but let me give you broad parameters. You regulars, you've heard this a dozen times, but there might be a new person watching, so let me read in broad parameters. First half of the art journey. This is what I think is a very good art journey. First half of your journey, And when I say half, I don't mean literally half. I just mean the first phase. If any of you are familiar with Richard Rohr, R-O-H-R teaching, I'm sort of using the half language with a nod to him. First half of your journey, you learn to paint stuff that looks like stuff. Second half of your art journey, which many people never get to. Second half of your art journey, you learn to paint stuff that looks like paint. I know that's kind of cute language. What do you mean by that? Well, it's pretty literal. And let me give you, hang on just a sec, let me change earbuds. Whoops, hang on. Bear with me a moment here. Okay, it doesn't seem to be messing up. So, are you hearing me? Nope, you're not. Are you hearing me now? There we go. All right. First half of our journey, paint stuff that looks like stuff. Second half of our journey, paint stuff that looks like paint, or in this case, pencil. More literal than that. I mean that in more literally than most of you would probably imagine. You know what? I do not have a good reference. Forgive me. All right, I'm going to turn you around because it turns out I missed some reference. Let's turn you around to my computer here. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you suffer through watching me do it. Google. Oh, by the way, this last thing I looked up was Christian Hook. This portrait painter. Since I'm here, I'm going to blow up one of his images so you can see it. And how well you can see that, there is a portrait of a boxer. Look at all this, look at all the stuff that's going across. Anyway, that is just amazing. All right, enough of that. Let's go back to Google now and do a search for golden eagle in flight. And this time I'm going to be looking for good images of the eagle's feet. It turns out I did not do a good enough job. Well, that's that one right there. I know I copied that one. Okay, copy image. Go to it. All I need is his feet. You know what? Hang on. I think I'm just going to go ahead and print that just as is. Yeah. That one has really good feet, just as is. So hopefully that'll come off my printer in a second. Right? Oh, my printer's saying, come on. Sorry about that. Here we go. Technical issues. Let's try it again. Command P. Come. Okay. Now back to Chrome, Google Chrome. Let's look for another one. I could possibly type golden eagle feet or eagle feet. I'm going to do that actually. Let's see if anything comes up. Eagle feet. Oh my. Yeah, but not. Let's try eagle feet in flight. I'm sorry to be boring you guys with this. Oh, forgive me. Hang on. I need to flop this image. It's going the wrong way. Good grief. Save. Good enough. I'm sorry, so I'm wasting ink and everything. Eagle feet. Look at this one. Huh. No, but I do kind of like that image. That may be helpful. I don't like his feet as well, but it might be helpful for some other things. So let's just go ahead and waste some more ink here and print that one. I'm trying to figure out why my printer is so slow. Come on. Oh, this is really getting irritating now. I don't want you to watch me. Watch me have technical issues. All right. Isn't this just wonderful? The good, the bad, and the technical. All right, so I have some feet coming off the press, shall we say, as we speak. That will help. All right. I have eagles. The eagle's feet have landed. There we go. Whew. Man, I don't even know where eagles' feet go. Do you know what I mean? Okay, they start right about at the waist, if I can call that a waist, right there. And we see mostly one little toe, and then the next two kind of mushed together. There's one talon. I remember as a little kid reading the word Talon. Ooh, that was a big word. And razor sharp, I think, was the term, the adjective that was added to the trying to wait a minute. Too small. Woohoo! All right, do that. Let's do that again. Here we go. There we go. I do actually like this print. I thought I printed that off earlier, but evidently I did not. So I'm going to keep that one there. Again, the energy of the line is more important than more of a deltoid muscle right there. A little bit of a shoulder here. go ahead and just do some yellow orange in there for feet. And let's do some real yellow orange now. All right, wait a minute. One of the things I went and got while I was gone was a medium, rather small bottle, but it is in fact my favorite acrylic medium, if I was forced to pick one, is in fact GAC 100. What's the difference between it and, say, Winsor Newton gloss medium and varnish, which is an acrylic medium? I think the GAC dries slightly harder. I don't know if that makes sense. It's slightly, you know, plastics have a different feel about them. Just think of plastic toys. So like Lego is a hard plastic toy, right? Whereas the typical little boy dump truck or airplane plastic toy, can you imagine that? That's a much softer plastic, right? GAC is closer to the Lego hardness when it dries. I'm not saying it's that hard, I'm just using that as an analogy. So it seems to dry a little more brittle, perhaps. I don't think that's never been a problem with real brittleness, has never been an issue for me. But it seems to dry slightly more transparent because it's a harder plastic. And of course, don't forget that acrylics, that's all they are essentially, is once the water evaporates out of it, what you're left with is plastic. So keep that in mind, just if you want to understand the properties of the paint you're using. So people have often asked me about the advisability. Do I think that it's wise to do oil on top of plastic? Usually they say on top of acrylics. And my answer has always been, I think so. We won't know for another 50 or 100 years whether I'm right or not. But part of what gives me courage to continue in this is the adhesion characteristics of oil paint. In other words, if you put oil paint, let's go back to the little boy's plastic car or truck. If in fact you put oil paint on plastic, is it going to stick? One of the best tests I've ever had of that very question is I own a Soltek easel, S-O-L-T-E-K. I'm glad to have it. I don't use it very often because, as you can imagine, it's way too small for me. Even though I've modified mine, I've tricked mine out a little bit so that I can paint larger things than most people can. And thick stretchers. That was a big modification. The Soltek easels are made for holding skinny stretchers. It's a real plein air painter's easel, you know. And I'm rough on my plein air stuff. I mean, as you know, I paint big, I paint vigorous, I paint often. Anyway, Soltek easel came with a plastic palette, paint palette, gray plastic, very much like little boy's truck, gray. I don't know exactly what kind of plastic, but believe me, it was plasticky plastic. It wasn't anything extremely esoteric. And I actually bought my Soltek easel used. So the previous owner of my Soltek easel had used this palette somewhat and had allowed his oil paint to dry on the plastic palette. And guess what? You cannot get that stuff off. I mean, I've taken a jackhammer. This is an exaggeration. But so to speak, speaking in the exaggeration realm, I have truly elbow greased the heck out of this thing with a razor, straight razor, a scraper razor. You know, a good, not just one of these, but an actual, you know, carpenter's tool, and really gone after it tooth and nail, and it's not coming off. So as a matter of fact, I don't use the palette at all. I use my glass palettes. So anyway, that just right there was a pretty good test of oil paint on plastic. Now, again, you regulars who follow me on a regular basis, you know that my palette, my normal palette, I've got it here somewhere. Where is it? Let me show, just for review. This is my normal palette. It's glass, right? So I get to feel in my gut all the time how well does oil paint stick to glass. Now I scrape it off with this, but if this gets fully dry, if that oil gets fully dry, I have to work pretty darn hard with a good sharp razor to clean it off. Okay, so just for what it's worth, oil paint is amazingly sticky. Its adhesion qualities, I would say, are generally significantly underrated. I have a lot of respect. So do I think that my, you can see where this is going, can't you? Do I think that my oil over acrylic paints are going to do well with time? And the answer is heck yeah. I really do think so. I'm not the only scientist examining the question, but I am one. And the other reason is, since I've wasted this much of your time talking about it, let me just also mention that my oil medium of choice, as you know, is Liquin. I have others. Here's a walnut alkyd, and here's a Neil McGilp. I virtually never use linseed oil. Isn't that funny? Not since I did a Frank Cavino painting have I used linseed oil. Anybody want to buy some linseed oil? That's a joke. It's not worth buying. Anyway, it turns out that Liquin, the first medium I showed you, has a very happy, serendipitous, accidental relationship with water. It's an oil medium that plays well with water. In fact, if you're ever stuck, you're out in the field, you're painting in oils, and there's a color you don't have, but you do have it in acrylics, all you have to do is mix, believe it or not, mix Liquin with your acrylic paints, and it becomes an oil paint. I don't even know if the Liquin people know this. It's not something I read on their website, something I experienced. Uncle 60, clove oil on the glass. Good point, good point. Okay, next question. Besides just ordering it through Amazon, Uncle 60, where do you buy clove oil at a grocery store, hardware store, art supply store? I know Mark Carter talks about putting a drop of clove oil on his brushes. Brilliant. I wish I could do that. Maybe I will someday. When I get better, maybe I'll do that. But anyway, great idea for glass. Never thought about it. Great. I understand the principle. Yeah, don't use too much because then it'll retard your paints themselves as they sit on the glass. But great idea. Is that a grocery store product? Can I buy it at my local Food Lion? That's the biggest chain we have down here in North Carolina? Or do I just order it online? Whoops, sorry you guys. Up to my old tricks of zooming in and not zooming out. I'm sorry. I have done nothing of interest. That's a lie. I did all this. Yeah, I did all this face. Now watch, I'm going to zoom back out right there. Okay, Uncle 60 says no. Search the web for sales. Gotcha. Okay. That's sort of what I expected. Okay, clove oil. You heard it here, folks. And Uncle is right. Again, I'm saying that. I'm sure you're right anyway, Uncle. But but I heard the same thing from Mark Carter. Pretty good, scientific painter, if you will. Sometimes a vitamin store has clove oil, isn't that? Yeah, they would. That sounded kind of snarky, didn't it? I didn't mean it that way. All right, I am just about done with the acrylics. So I'm doing white right now. This will be my last layer of acrylics because I think I'm ready to go to the more finished details in oil. This is my second distinct phase layer stage of applying white. I won't finish this painting today because my my oil painting technique, especially for a simple subject like this, broad principle being the simpler the subject, the more you can mess with it, if I may speak rather carelessly. The simpler the subject, the more it invites me, at least, I was going to say invites you, the more it invites one to do creative things with it, right? Because we certainly don't want a boring painting. We certainly don't want it boring. So it invites more play. Therefore, because this is a fairly simple subject, graphic, I like it. I am certainly going to do a second day of oil glazes. So I hope to finish the painting today, essentially finish it to the point where it's ready for the second day of glazing. Now, as you all know, that it's also possible that I could go into a third day, but that's not typical. Usually, so the painting will be all dry tomorrow, right? And when it's dry, then I can glaze the whole thing with impunity. Nobody will punish me, I promise. No, what I mean is I can glaze safely because everything on the canvas will be inert. So I can do whatever I want with glazes and wipe it off if I don't like it and so on and so forth. So that's almost certainly. But I would like to finish this painting tomorrow. William, if you're watching, today is Thursday, August 22nd. I hope to finish this painting on Friday the 23rd, okay? Then we will arrange getting it to you. Standing here painting, and suddenly I realize I'm getting cold feet. No, I mean that literally. I wasn't scared of anything, I promise. Suddenly it's like, man, my feet are cold. Oh, I've got my window air conditioner humming away beside me, pumping in 65-degree air right onto my feet. So anyway, I don't need that. I don't need to be that chilly on this hot summer day. There, are we having fun? I am. I am definitely in the fun zone. I have several, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images of golden eagles over there to my right. And one of the things that's clear to me is that not all golden eagles are the same. Duh. Just like everything else on the planet, right? No two people are the same. No two golden retrievers are the same. All you horse people, you're nuts about your, I know enough about you. You're nuts about the personality of your horse, aren't you? So some golden eagles' feathers are more roughed up than others, and I kind of like the more roughed up look, so just decided to come back in here and add some separation. What fun. Thank you, William, for this work, and thank you for the fun excuse for doing a very different subject matter for me. I will end this broadcast at the end of the acrylic stage, just so that I don't have my normal interminable. That's really the word for my broadcast, interminable. They go on forever. They never end. The guy drones on forever. I can see the critiques now. All right, nearly finished here. I'm going to do a little bit of pencil on his feet because, whoops, of course, masking tape doesn't stick real well to wet paint, so note to self. Now, you know, as I make these lines, as I make these movements, the kind of movements I'm making, first of all, I would like some of you who are struggling to enter the second part of your art journey to go, man, he holds his pencils in such a weird way, and he moves them in such a weird way, because, and I know this, that's how you should be responding to what you're seeing, because in fact I know that, of course, way too many of you, you're like this, which we've talked enough about that. I'm not even going to go there. But you know, don't you, that the essence of good drawing, the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. That is, I mean that, the essence, the sine qua non, without which nothing. If you don't got this, you don't got nothing, is interesting marks. And interesting marks are made with interesting movements. And now you can't move the way I do. That you just get over it. I can't move the way you do. I get over it. But I am giving you, some of you should be paying attention. I'm giving you a pretty good clinic in this. Because you're thinking, man, he moves weird. And I'm going, yeah. Want to be a better artist? Start moving like me. You know, you can't do it exactly, but get away from that horrid, atrocious hyper control stuff. That is what's keeping most of you back. All right. I know you because I used to be one. Okay, everything you see me doing is a coping, compensating for all those same tendencies. It's kind of pretty, eh? I'm happy with it so far. So break time. I am going to eat some lunch. Remains to be seen whether I go to the bathroom, since you were wondering. And I'll be back. I said that last night, didn't I? I promised to be back, and then I think I said, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Well, the creek did rise last night. In fact, I was painting last night, and a man came up and said, storm's coming. So I started packing up, and I had just taken down my umbrella and my big painting, which of course was like a sail on a sailboat, and a big gust of wind came in, picked up one of the blue umbrellas that was in my painting there, picked it up, threw it way up in the air, get this, and it broke a third floor window 2 buildings down from this restaurant. Two addresses down, 3rd floor, one of those umbrellas flew up and broke a window. It's not very funny. I felt really bad. But dang, so when I say big gust of wind, I was so glad. Because it would have picked my whole easel right up off the ground. And my easel weighs 75, 80 pounds, so you know what I mean? But no, it was a big gust of wind. No, it would have turned my umbrella inside out. Anyway, it would have been a mess. All right, and I've read most of your comments already, but let me just see if I've missed any that I need here in the last minute. Paint a cityscape behind the bird. Great idea. Skyline of Raleigh. That's maybe not a bad idea. Not on this painting. Thank you, Ahmed. Ah, Cloudy. You've only seen me do cityscape, so it's nice to see me do something else. Hello, Boudreaux. Nice to have you. Oh, hey, Boudreaux. That looks suspiciously like William. Good to have you on board, my friend. Thank you for watching. I think I've blown your cover, folks. So Boudreaux is the man who's paying me to do this. So you may thank him. Thank you. Look up piping rock clove oil. Got it. Thank you, Uncle 60, for that good tip. All right, William and Company. So I'm thinking 45 minutes, 2 o'clock, but I'm going to end this broadcast. So if you clicked the bell on my channel, you'll get a notification on your phone or whatever when I start up again. All right. So thanks for joining me, William. Especially thanks for joining me, and I'll be back in a little while. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.